Hey Mike, you got anything to say about the Sierra Kills Bigfoot story? You want to tell people about it if they haven't heard about it?
Yeah. Well, the Sierra Kills is referring to a tale of a bear hunter shooting a couple of Bigfoot. According to the story, this event took place in Plumas County in California last October 2010. There were two men in bear country hunting. There was an animal came out of the woods, was coming towards them menacingly, so they say. Was up on two legs, went down on four, went back up on two, and so on. The man opened fire, supposedly from like 80 yards away. There are different renditions of this story, so I don't know what the real truth is, but this is the consensus. So he shot the bear, and then as they were moving in to come closer to it, they heard something and realized there were apparently two more smaller ones. And one of these was up on an overhang or something above the hunter. He looked up, he felt menaced by it and shot it. It fell to the ground, and he was able to actually pick it up. So it was a bloody, dead baby Bigfoot, as the story goes. So the two men, here they are. The one guy has just killed two Bigfoot, a female adult and a baby, and the guy that's driving is pretty grossed out by it, supposedly. And it says also, we better get the hell out of here because this, you don't have tags for this. This isn't a bear. And so they leaped in the truck, and took off and just left them. The story was that the large female rumbled off in the woods, having been shot through the chest, but they heard it go down and had reason to believe that it did die. And but they left it in the forest. And so then the story goes, the guy decides to go back 2 weeks later, and he's looking for the bodies to see if he can recover the bodies or any parts of the bodies. And he spends hours there because it had snowed in the meantime, so the area was covered in snow. So he's having to dig through snowbanks and what have you in the brush where he thought these things would be. And they say that he couldn't find the bodies per se, but he found some pieces of the cadaver, which they're referring to as a steak, a Bigfoot steak. Apparently they've described it as a piece of flesh 4 to 7 inches in length or so, 3 inches deep, that it had skin, flesh, hair, and fat tissue on it. And, well, apparently Derek Randalls was contacted. Derek Randalls works with Wally Hersom on what's known as the Olympic Project. Derek's a hell of a nice man, and he's a hunter also, and into Bigfoot research. He's been putting up cameras on the Olympic rainforest. So they contacted him. He, I'm told, has gone since and investigated the story, gone to the spot. He's spoken at length, both on the phone and in person, with a man named Justin Smeja, who apparently is the one who did the shooting. You can find him on the website for the Olympic Project. There's a picture of him there. And the tissue, a big chunk of that Bigfoot steak, as they say, was sent to Melba Ketchum to be part of the DNA project. And Derek now on his blogs has indicated that he is absolutely convinced that the hunter is telling the truth as he knows it, that he did indeed kill a Bigfoot, but that there is nothing to show for it other than these couple of scraps of tissue which they collected. And I think it's likely that Derek has a part of that tissue by now, and that and also they claim that Melba has. And Melba was supposedly shocked at first because it had such a human look to it that she was concerned, as the story goes, to the point of being concerned that she might being set up, and that somebody might have given her some human tissue to cause a problem. And I'm not going to say that they didn't. I don't know. But if she has given it the test, and if she's doing due diligence, and if it matches all the rest of the samples she have, which she's convinced are Sasquatch samples, then, it creates a problem. And Derek is of the opinion that it passed muster with Melba, and therefore must be considered to be a Bigfoot artifact, or a Bigfoot specimen, we'll call it. But I gotta say that the whole story and the way it took place and the way it went down, to me from the beginning has sounded very much like a hoax, or like some kind of a disinformation project. And I'll tell you what's also funny about it is, very coincidental, is just a few days after that story broke, I had a man come in the museum here who told me that he was traveling, and he was coming to the museum on purpose with his sons. They were on a Bigfoot quest. They were traveling around to Bigfoot places. They were going to go to Willow Creek after they left us here in Felton, to the other museum up there. And he said that when he was in his motel room the night before on their way here to Felton, he logged on, went on Cryptomundo, and read about the bear kill that turned out to be a Bigfoot that I've been talking about. And he said he found it extremely interesting because just a day or so before, or at some point, he had talked to his nephew, who had contacted him and told him that he was on a bear hunt with some friends, and that on October 15th and 16th, they shot 2 bears, a big one and a little one. And that when they went to get gas at the gas station with the larger bear on the back of the truck, he could hear people who were gathering and looking at it calling it Bigfoot for some reason, I don't know, a joke or just being cute. But the word Bigfoot was being bandied about as they were discussing this bear. Maybe they had part of it covered. I don't know the details. But I have a picture of the bear. So this is the man who came in. He had a copy on his cell phone that had been sent to him by his nephew. And there it is, the full body of the bear. And it was a pretty good sized bear. He said it was about 7 feet from tip to tail, and probably would have been 10 feet standing upright. It was a big one, at least a 500-600 pound black bear. And the next day, the one they shot was only about 175 pound, a much smaller bear. But they were both legal bears, and they had tags for them. And they went to Portola, to the wildlife place there, and had them authenticated the next day. So this is all on the books, proof of this. Here's a shot of the bear, which was chocolate brown. And you can see the brown tint from this view. That's the way they described the bear that they had shot that turned out to be a Bigfoot. And once again, in just about the same exact spot on just about the same date. And so I thought, wow, that's an awfully extreme coincidence. Of course, bears are hunted at certain times. Bear hunters have certain places they go where bears are typically found. So, it could easily be a coincidence. But for a while there, I was very concerned that this might be an attempt using something that was real to generate a story that wasn't real, that could help in some way to cause problems for the DNA project. And so I've contacted Derek and warned him about it, and now we're going to make this known that this there, so maybe other people who might know a little something could step forward. But I don't know, the people I've spoken to who have gone and investigated and spoken with this bear hunter in person have also said there's some things about it that don't ring true, having to do with this tissue sample. And so I think that the jury's still out on that. I'm not convinced that the Melba has actually fully tested the sample yet, even though that's what's being claimed in the rumors. So you got a giant rumor mill going here. You got the potential for a misinformation project going here. And so, wow, what's going on? The plot thickens. That's all I can say. And I don't know what to believe on this front, except that it's in the middle of this whole DNA thing, which is already a mess, and this is only making things even more complicated. And in a way, it's kind of what you would expect. If actual proof of Bigfoot is that close, you would expect that it would get crazy like this. And that's exactly what it's done. It's gotten very crazy.